Everybody, new studio, new intro. I'm just here to remind you guys before you listen to today's episode, make sure you follow the show and subscribe wherever you listen. If you watch the show on YouTube, make sure you subscribe there, you comment, you like, and you share. Also, follow my social media, all of it, both Instagrams, my Twitter, follow it all. Your life is to be consumed by my life. Tell everybody that you know about me. Start conversations with the fact that the Smoking Simian is your favorite podcast. Bombard everyone that you know and love with the Smoking Simian. Send them links day in and day out of my show, of the episodes, of my posts. Get thrown out of your house because the only thing that you care about is the Smoking Simian. Do it. Enjoy today's episode. Bob. Hello, everybody, and good morning. Thank you so much for tuning into the show yet again on the last Thursday of the month of July. Holy Christ. Doesn't it feel crazy when you're dying how quick time goes? Every moment you're just losing life, and it goes by quicker and quicker. But we're coming up on the great month of August. Coming up on the great month of August. I say the great month of August because as of 2 years ago, August has become a pretty, important month in my life. In the past couple of years, I started the podcast 2 years ago in August, which is crazy. At least I think it's crazy. This was just some stupid fucking idea I had. And it's still a stupid idea that I have. But the fact that I've done it consistently for 2 years, again, I've preached it on here 1,000 times, guys. It's insane that I have stuck with this, in my mind. Same thing with comedy. I've stuck to comedy for a year now, like consistently a year, shown consistency, going to comedy, going to open mics and pursuing the shit, and networking people, traveling all over the place, doing whatever the fuck I got to do to make the comedy thing happen. And both of them started in August. 2 years ago, 2020, we started the podcast. 2021, in August, I went to an open mic at Askew in downtown Providence. Now I actually loathe that place. Not, that being said, I wouldn't mind going back and doing a show, but to go do the open mic, it's a pain in the fucking ass. It's a weird room, too. It's a little bit of an alt room, which doesn't really work for me. That being said, there are comics that go up there that aren't all alt comics, but a lot of them are. And but either way, that's when I got back on stage for the first time 1 year in August. I think I have the picture saved somewhere. And that's cool. But realistically, it doesn't matter because it's already, we're not in August yet, but it'll soon be in the past, and we'll be on to the next year and the next and the next. And not even the next year, the next day, the next week, the shorter periods, The ones that make up those big, long ones that after you look back and you go, damn, that was an extended effort there, an extended and consistent effort. And me and a good friend of mine who's been on the show, a couple times, Chris Oldred, we had a good conversation last night about mindset and whatever the fuck else. And I brought up a quote that I'm sure I've said on here a bunch of times. Think as you are, not as you want to be. And basically what that means is if you want to be, a world champion, think of yourself as a world champion already. Do whatever you got to do. Donald Trump told a story. He was sitting with the rich dad, poor dad guy. I don't know his fucking name. But they were sitting there, two filthy rich motherfuckers just talking shit back and forth about money and about life. And he said he had a friend who ended up being incredibly successful, incredibly wealthy. But before that happened, he would fly in first class. He would fly first class all the time, even though he couldn't afford it. He would fly first class, and just to get him in the mindset that one day he will be able to afford it, and that it'll only make sense for you to fly. In fact, I'll get a private motherfucking jet. How about that? Now there's no more first class. I don't even fly commercials, suck my dick, and lick my balls. If he was real hardcore, he would have got a loan out and bought a jet. There you go. Back yourself into a real corner, cocksucker. But anyway, I found that naturally when I started the podcast and when I got it rolling, within the first year, I was kind of already calling myself, I was living as I was a person who has a podcast host who makes money, right? Put it that way. My livelihood is a podcast, and it's not. I don't make any money on this. Not yet, though. That's the thing. And then comedy, it took even quicker for me to start calling myself a comedian. People ask me, oh, what do you do? I say, oh, I'm a comedian and I host a podcast. They're like, oh, really? Wow, that's an interesting line of work. Yeah, and then somewhere down the line, we end up talking about money, and they say, well, what do you get paid for that type of stuff? How do you get paid? Oh, I don't get paid for it. The meaningless tasks that I do in the daytime to get that sacred piece of paper that we all kneel down before. I serve tables to do that, yeah, because, I mean, the whole thing is meaningless, right? The paper, I mean, once you get it, it's different, right? Then it takes a whole new meaning. It takes on a whole new meaning. Once you get a lot of it, then it goes back, just like I said last episode. Once you get a lot of it, it goes back to being worthless. It's the middle ground. And right now, I'm at the other spectrum. You know, I got credit card debt. I got money saved up. You know, I got backup money that I don't want to fucking fly through. But I serve tables in the daytime. But that doesn't mean that I'm not a comedian, if that makes sense. It doesn't mean that I'm not a podcast host. I live like those things more than I live like a server in a restaurant. You know what I'm saying? Because whatever you pick to do, I mean, there's stereotypical, things that you do along with it. I don't want to say actions because that sounds impersonal. Like, for example, if you're going to be a plumber and you want to be a good plumber, then you probably hang out with other plumbers. You guys talk about jobs that you've had before and you bullshit and that type of thing, right? It kind of just, it makes sense to be in the realm of whatever the fuck it is that you're trying to do. And surround yourself with like-minded people. Now, I don't know why I even got on this topic. Just to talk about how the month of August has been good to me in the past couple of years. And we're going to see what this one has in store. I mean, I'm doing my first comedy festival at the end of the month. That'll be fun. Just booked the Airbnb, plunged myself into a little bit more credit card debt, which is nice. But that'll be fun, going up to Portland, Maine, hanging out with the northern hillbillies of New England. The family fuckers who live in the mountains. The people who don't mind having 10 months of cold and 2 months of springish, near summer weather. You know, I mean, we're going at the end of August. Me and Raph, who's also been on the podcast, we're going to do a podcast there. It's going to be, we might even do a couple of them. Who knows? You know, we might just fuck around and do a couple of them. But, he's going to come along. He's going to document the whole thing. We're going to have a whole lot of stuff to give you guys as far as content goes. And that'll be a lot of fun. And hopefully, most importantly, some opportunities come out of that. You know? And I mean, nonetheless, it'll be a good fucking time. It'll be a good time. I shouldn't say that most importantly. Most importantly, I want to have good shows. And then from there, hopefully, opportunities, yada, yada, yada. And it looks like I might be getting added onto one more show while I'm there. Yeah, there. So that'll be nice. The beginning of the month, next Saturday, I'll be at Broadway Comedy Club, which is, hopefully that pans out as long as people show up. I need 5 people to show up. But like I said, August is a month that I guess historically I never really paid attention to. It's one of those months that I always skip over. It's like August, March. I don't really think about them. Even May. I know it's my grandmother's birthday and it's fucking Mother's Day, but even then I don't think about it. January, you think about it because it's the beginning of the year and it's cold as a bitch. February, even if you're not in a relationship, you associate February with, Valentine's Day. April is like the beginning of spring. June is like the beginning of summer, plus my birthday, my mom's birthday, my sister's birthday. July, the 4th of July, one of my favorite holidays. September is like we're rolling into fall, the summer's over. October, Halloween, and then the holidays until the end of the year. So August I never really thought of as anything except for, I don't know, the last month of summer vacation. And then same thing with March. I don't think of March as anything either. So it's weird how that played out. But I hope you guys don't think that I was going to preach to you about good stuff this whole podcast. I really hope you didn't do that because we have some fun stuff on the agenda for you. Some of you people out there may have heard of a little company called BlackRock. And if you haven't heard of them, well, then you got a problem. BlackRock is one of our big brothers. Big brothers, way big. Bigger than the government brothers. You follow what I'm saying? BlackRock is the largest investor in the world. It is a company that is basically a pillar of the economic, the economy. Not just America's economy, but the global economy. It is based out of America, if I remember correctly. I did a project on them in college. But they are a company that is in charge of disgusting amounts of money. Like filthy, gross, just you can't imagine. I mean, they have equity in 14,000 different companies, and they manage $8 trillion. $8.5 trillion, okay? That isn't exactly pocket change. It is to these guys. But even, I mean, it really, I'm wrong in saying that because that is, it's more money than any other investor, any other corporate investor has. No other company has anywhere near, like, they own fucking so much shit. They bought out, but they were buying houses all over the country. Just buying out houses. Because, you know, when prices were real low, they still are low, but when they were real low, and they have all the info on that, they know when it's coming, they went ahead and just bought, and invested all over the place. They invested in real estate. They bought it all up before any of us could go get any of it. They made sure to get the best deals because they're going to buy in big bundles. They buy in bulk, guys. The world is a BJ's or a Costco for BlackRock. BlackRock can buy any amount of anything whenever the fuck they want, okay? Fuck what they tell you about budgets and whatever else. BlackRock is the world's biggest investor. They are a major world player in economics. And as of recent years, they were devoting some of their money to economically and socially conscious investing, right? This is a thing that I had complained about a few episodes ago. Maybe you remember I was talking about the Uber CEO that said violence guarantees success. And I said, we need more of these big wig money guys, these finance guys that don't give a fuck about anything but the bottom line and getting that bottom line higher and higher and higher. Making as much goddamn motherfucking money that they can, raking it in by the fucking boat, by the Viking boatload. They are just having Viking boats full to the top, overflowing with cash. That is what the fuck I mean, Christ, we need big suits, black as you've ever seen. That dark, that real black, like the, I forget what it's called. It's like the darkest black that exists. That black on a suit with a tie and the crispest white shirt you've ever seen, chomping on a cigar, walking in with a scotch in his hand and a big rock saying, violence guarantees success. Fuck this environmental investing and this socially conscious investment. No, it doesn't get used properly. The only time investing is used properly with these big monstrous corporations is when it's being used to line their pockets even deeper. Make their pockets even deeper. Put more money into their hands. That's the only time it works because they know what the fuck. They got all the money. They've had all the money for a long time. They figured it out. Just like when you start a business. You first start out a business. I work at Mohegan Sun, right? Mohegan Sun has a contract with FanDuel. They're going to keep FanDuel for 5 years, learn the sports betting business, understand, and then drop them off. Goodbye. We figured it out. We are a monstrous corporation already. We learned this side of the business. We don't need you anymore. Boom. That's how these big monstrous companies like BlackRock, they know what they're doing. They already know what they're doing. It's very similar. So it only makes sense for them to keep that bottom line fat and healthy. Make sure that they're getting money. They have to get money, or else all this shit falls apart. So, like I said before, in recent years, they were going ahead and allocating some money towards some environmentally conscious investing. Except as of a really recent, where the economy isn't doing too good. I don't know if you guys noticed, but there's this whole recession talk and this hullabaloo and all this stuff that's going on. And who knows, right? Who knows really? Who knows if people will become feral animals because the grocery stores have ran out and people can't afford to get anything and the supply chain is so fucked up. Who knows if people will go to marauding in the street and kicking in doors in order to eat and feed their families. Who knows if that'll happen? Who really knows, right? BlackRock does, okay? BlackRock knows what the deal is, and they're covering their asses, okay? They recently, I think it was last year, they put 43%, 43%, I don't know what the exact metric is, and I don't feel like looking it up. But they put a certain percentage of money toward this conscious investing, we can call it. Sustainable investing. How about that? They put a certain amount, and this year it had drastically dropped, right? Let's say it was 43% of some number. Now this year it's 28% or 20 something. It's reduced significantly, and it's because of how bad the economy is. I mean, recently BlackRock had reported that they lost $1.7 trillion of their investors' money in the first half of the year. You can't have that. You cannot have that. You're managing $1.8 trillion and you've lost 1.7 of it to your investors. I mean, you guys have to figure this shit out. And if that means allowing those smokestacks to be built, if that means dropping raw sewage into the ocean because nobody is funding an actual treatment plant to dispose of these things, if that means keeping car emissions where they are and never lowering them, then you have to figure that out. You have over 14,000 companies under your belt. That's 14,000 mouths to feed. You've taken that under you. Imagine that. Some of you guys have 4 kids, okay? 4 kids. Now imagine, all this time you were going grocery shopping, and at the end of the grocery shopping, there was always the guy with the Salvation Army bucket, and you would drop, $10 in there. There you go, $10. And then you're driving home, and the next time you go grocery shopping, you look at the gas. You say, you know what, before we go to the grocery store, we got to get gas. And it's gone up 20 cents since the last time you went. And the last time you went was only a couple weeks ago, right? It doesn't take long. It doesn't take long for you to adjust, right? So now it's 20 more cents, and you're like, what the fuck? I can't believe this. And you're all upset, and you go grocery shopping, and you still stick to your budget, and you're able to get everything you want. But that same guy is out there ringing his bell. Maybe it's cold. Ding dong, ding dong. Help us at the Salvation Army. Please help us. Help us provide families with sufficient warmth this Christmas season, this holiday season. Help us. Just a little bit of a donation. You just spent $150 on food for yourself and you live alone. Please, just a little bit. And you walk right past that motherfucker. You don't think twice about it because you know that gas went up 20 cents in 2 goddamn weeks. You went shopping 2 weeks ago. You went food shopping 2 weeks ago. You ate $150 worth of food all by yourself in 2 goddamn weeks. You went back again. And gas it costs more. It costs more. So now that charity, no. There's no charity. Okay? When things hit the fan, when legitimate bottom lines get hurt, there is no charity. Doesn't matter how much money they're managing. It's all scalable. It's all scalable. I just gave you guys a concrete example. It's all scalable. That is the exact same thing for a company like BlackRock, a monstrous company. So they cut back. They cut back on the environmentally sufficient and sustainable and all this shit. They said, fuck you. We need to keep this show rolling. We have fun to keep there's fun to be had, okay? There is still a lot of fun to be had. There's juice to be squeezed out of this berry that we call the United States of, well, the whole planet, the whole fucking planet. I mean, BlackRock is so big, it has hands in everything. I can't imagine them not having a presence in pretty much every country that there is, whether they're investing in the country or they are tearing down landscapes and completely ruining environments in other countries where there's not a lot of investing to be done. The only investing there is human capital and being able to, reap the benefits of a very mineral-rich land, which does happen very often. If they got something that, they want, there's a certain type of wood that they would like to maybe there's a company that they invest in Sweden, right? And they make these really nice, wooden pieces of furniture for your house, handcrafted. It's beautiful, and it's a big operation, and it's they're the leading in their market, but they want to get a little bit bigger, and they get BlackRock's attention, and they say, hey, listen, if you guys like the shit that we make, if you guys gave us just $1 billion, come on, it's nothing. Just $1 billion, we could go over there to that country and we could make this. We could use, this particular wood. They'll bring out a table that they just made from a really, maybe even an endangered species of tree that only grows in this one region of Papua New Guinea. And there's some indigenous people that live there, and there might even be some, incorporated towns in the area. But that doesn't matter, right? That doesn't matter because BlackRock is going to put the money in because they know that all those trees can be converted into beautiful, beautiful pieces of furniture that'll sell for $1,300 or more. There's a very high price point on these things, even more than that, right? Especially because it's imported, they could put a high price tag on it. They're going to get their money back is the point. That's, what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to get at. They are going to have no problem investing in that Swedish company who will then take that money and go down and completely destroy a whole ecosystem just so that they can flip that shit. But that's what it is, guys. If you guys don't see it for what it is, then there's no fun in it. You get what I'm saying? There's very little fun in just accepting that the thing that you have was made in China. The T-shirt that you're wearing, it was made in, in a sweatshop by a kid that has to, right? They have to do it because their family's destitute, and their family works too, but it's not enough, and this kid has to do it as well. But if you don't acknowledge that, then where's the fun? It's just topical. You don't think about that? It's crazy. There's so much that goes into all of that. There's so much investing. There's so much money that goes into a company like Nike being able to legally have operating sweatshops. There's so many hands in that. And to ignore that fact, to ignore that everything that you use every single day, there is a huge investment in destroying something. Something is getting destroyed. Doesn't matter what it is that you're using. Your car, your bed, your guitar, your candles, something is getting fucking destroyed for the sake of us to have a thing, a toy, and for the people who have found a way to mass produce these things to make a buck, right? To make a living. So it's interesting that there's an idea of sustainable investing because it's impossible. And this CEO of BlackRock he has a phenomenal quote, guys, and you're going to love this because this is exactly what I'm talking about. I completely agree that he should be cutting back, that BlackRock should be cutting back on this sustainable investing. It's a stupid idea. It doesn't make any sense, guys. It does not make any sense. It's not going to be, we can't even power our homes. We can't even exist. We can't power our vehicles without some kind of destruction, without some kind of enterprise, right? So how are we going to have products made? Businesses that for years and years and years, the idea of business had nothing at all related to sustaining the planet or worrying about anything. That would be a detriment to our living circumstances. And now, because people want to talk about it, and there's, so there and whether or not a company does invest in sustainable projects has, as of recent, become a determining factor for people who want to invest in the company. So all these companies have some type of pressure on them to go and invest in these projects. But in reality, it doesn't make sense, guys. And here's the quote. We focus on sustainability, but not because we're environmentalists, but because we're capitalists. Guys, that is the absolute This makes me very, very happy, okay? You guys know I come on here. I love the absurdity stuff. I love the satirical, the negative satire that I do. I love doing all that. That's a lot of fun, okay? It's a lot of fun. And when I came on here and I was talking about the Uber CEO, and I was saying that the only way our country is going to be saved is if we have more of these guys, more of these people more of the CEOs that are just trying to make money, doesn't give a fuck about anything else, trying to get paid and just rack up. Oh, sorry, I'm getting emails. Probably nothing important. Trying to rack up fucking money and just Gordon Gekko, greed is good, violence guarantees success. These type of CEOs are the ones that are going to keep us rolling. They're going to keep us from eating each other in the streets, okay? They're going to keep us in pork chops. We're going to be fine. We're going to be okay. And we need more of them. That was my point. And it makes me genuinely happy knowing that the CEO of the biggest investor that the world has probably ever known acknowledges that we are capitalists, not environmentalists. That's what we want to sustain for. We want to keep the planet going just enough to run our schemes, just enough to keep the gears cranking, okay? That's what we want. That's what he's saying, and he's being honest about it. He's being honest about what it is. It's just like being honest about knowing that the lithium in the battery for your Tesla that you love that is helping out the environment, just know that lithium was mined in, an otherwise untouched environment in the Middle East somewhere, right? You got to be honest about it. It's way more fun. And this guy is being honest about it. He's being honest. We're only keeping this shit together because we're having a ball. This is our playground. Why would we want to get rid of it? Remember when Batman grabbed the Joker in The Dark Knight? I think this is where it was from. If not, it's still a good sentiment. Fill in the names with whoever the fuck you want. But I'm pretty sure the Joker Batman had asked the Joker, like, "Do you want to kill me? And he's like, "No, that's my fun. It would be all over if you were dead, right? Same thing with the world. It would be all over. And this is what I don't understand by tyrannical leaders like Putin and Kim Jong-un and Xi Jinping and these motherfuckers who want to blow everything up. Aren't you guys having a ball? Aren't you guys just having fun? Right? There's no environmental investing. There's no socially conscious money. No, that's a community thing. You do that amongst your communities. But on a federal level, on a worldwide, a global level, there's none of that. Did you want it all to fall apart? You want the playground to fall apart, guys? No. Well, I don't want that. I definitely don't want that. We want to keep having fun. We want to keep the show rolling. You know what I'm talking about, guys. And I'm just happy. I'm genuinely happy that, this is, you guys laugh, but this is a genuine sign of hope. This is a genuine sign of hope. And I hope that the other monstrous CEOs of different institutional investors and banks and all these places, I hope that they acknowledge this and they can say, fuck them trees, fuck a river. Where's my third Rolls-Royce Phantom? Okay, I bought 5 of them, and I want to drive the third one. The one that I bought third in Secession, I want to drive that one. And I don't want to drive it. I want a chauffeur, and then a chauffeur next to him who's rolling me joints so I can smoke it in the back, and I want to get over to my boat that is 300 feet. To where I will have a 6-hour-long drug-fueled orgy with 40 to 50 different women on that boat for hours, just hours on end, hours and hours. And I want to be able to keep doing that. I want to sail that boat to an island to where we can just do all type of nefarious activities. The island where I pick up kilos and kilos of pure white cocaina that I can give to all my friends so we can work overtime and build this empire even bigger. Keep it rolling, guys. Keep it rolling. And think about if everything was environmentally friendly, there would be, the millionaires and the billionaires and the ultra mega rich, how are they going to fuel their toys? How are they going to be able to fuel their jumbo jets and their mega yachts and their cars that have 1 mile to the gallon because they have 300-cylinder engines? How are they going to do that? They're not in it for that, guys. They're not in it for you. They're not in it for us. Well, let me correct myself. They're in it for us, but not because they care about us. They just know that they have lots of fun. It is an amusement park for a company like BlackRock. It is. And that's real hope. That to me is real hope. If Elon would take this, stop with the, saving humanity, and I'm going to keep trying to do this. And no, there's none of that, guys. There's none of that. There really isn't. You're going to save humanity? How are you going to save humanity? Like I said, any enterprise needs to crush something. There's an equal and opposite reaction to every action, okay? And, just like a combustion engine, there's a fire, something goes out, the other thing propels forward, right? That's how the fuck it works. Same thing with these big companies. And if these CEOs will take a page out of the BlackRock CEO's book, things will be better. That's true potential for longevity. Now, something that a lot of people have been talking about and a lot of people have been looking at this as maybe a beacon of hope is getting back the WNBA player, Brittany Griner. Is that her name? Brittany Griner. I want to say Brittany Renner. I always think about Brittany Renner, that sexy bitch. But she's not in Russia, right? She wouldn't be in Russia. She's got no business there. Maybe she does. I don't know. But Brittany Griner, obviously you guys are probably familiar with the story at this point. WNBA player, gay, which is illegal in Russia, has been locked up for months and months and months. She had a weed pen on her. Could have been CBD, could have been weed, doesn't matter. They don't give a fuck anyway. They locked her up, her and a police officer, Paul Whelan, 2 Americans that are locked up over there. WNBA player and police officer, 2 jobs that are, they are held. They're 2 industries, I guess, that are held in high regard in this country. I mean, sports, they keep us entertained, right? They keep us from thinking about other things. But, there is a big sense of camaraderie and whatever else you want to call it, togetherness. And sports is very polarizing. And there's a lot of eyes on it, and for good reason, right? These people dedicate their lives to a game, and that game just so happens to be one that we all really like to watch and bet a lot of money on. We hold athletes in a very high regard in this country. And the other position being a police officer, who historically in this country are always championed, and no one ever questions the integrity of police officers here. Nobody ever has any complaints about the police as they. I mean, what is there to complain about? There's very, very. It's few and far. There's a couple bad cops here and there, but it's few and far between when you think of situations that police officers didn't handle very well, right? American police officers, it's tough to find, it's tough to really pinpoint, especially recently. I can't think, it's just not coming to me, where in recent times, American police officers have been, where they handle a situation not the best. And to me, they are always beacons of hope and light and law and love for their country and their community and their people. I have never once heard of a group of police officers or anything like that of them ever doing anything wrong, if we're being honest. So, again, 2 positions in America that we really, really enjoy, right? We hold them in high regard, and we really care when, one of our own gets captured, especially in another country, right, where they're subject to who knows the law in Russia, right? These people could be facing 10 years, I think I saw, in a Russian prison. So, it's kind of, there's probably, I wonder what jobs, if people went over there, they wouldn't give a fuck, right? There's got to be some. But those 2, definitely not. Those 2, definitely not. And it's funny because right now they're in actual, fairly serious talks of getting those 2 released and getting them brought back home on U.S. soil. And supposedly they're thinking, Biden's administration is thinking of returning a 25-year-old Russian arms dealer, trafficker, whatever the fuck you want to call it, a convicted 25-year-old Russian arms trafficker named Viktor Bout, something like that. We're willing to trade that guy for a police officer and a professional women's basketball player. That shows 2 things, right? It shows how wild Russia is, right? They are willing to give us back. They literally took 2 people who, I don't know if you guys could get the satire before, but 2 people that really, in the grand scheme of things, nobody cares about, right? Nobody knew anything about the WNBA. It took a woman getting captured in a Russian prison and held there for months and months. It took a woman, it took that for people to care about the WNBA in any capacity, right? I mean, the other sports, yeah, but women's sports, they're not historically, people don't really care. I mean, they watch beach volleyball because, there's ass and titties hopping around or whatever, but people don't really, women's sports, nobody's ever cared, especially not the WNBA. I mean, as of recent, they've been making a little bit more noise, but nobody cares about the WNBA, right? Nobody cares. And then a police officer, right? Police officer, people hate police officers in this country. Nobody has any faith in a police officer anymore. And, Russia won out on this deal big time. I mean, they got one of their arms traffickers, okay? They got one of the guys that's selling their weapons to people, and I mean, maybe it's not illegal in Russia because he's Russian and he's trafficking, well, I mean, this guy was sentenced to 25 years in an American prison. That's a pretty steep, that's pretty goddamn good, right? That's a solid fucking sentence. And, I mean, this guy is pretty dangerous, right? You would think that he's kind of dangerous. You hear the words Russian arms trafficker, you don't think this guy's, a walk in the park. I'm sure he's a fucking animal, right? In some capacity, one way or another. So he's got a pretty draconian sentencing, 25 years. He's from an enemy country, coming by, doing whatever. We got to make an example out of him. Now, these other two people, Brittany Griner and Paul Whelan are just, for lack of a better term, I mean, they're Joe Schmoes, realistically, right? Who's a WNBA star? Who's the star, right? And this is just me being ignorant to the WNBA like most of us are, okay? Nobody knows who the star of the W. You could say the NBA, LeBron James, Steph Curry, Jason Tatum. Names just fly. And I don't even watch basketball, okay? Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, right? There's just names that Devin Booker. You could just keep going. I don't even watch basketball. Okay, and I don't know, I work at Mohegan Sun. They own the Connecticut Suns. I don't know who the fuck is on that team. I don't know who the star is. I saw two of them the other day. Like, I don't know who the fuck they are, and they're professional athletes. Making way more money than I am doing, whatever. Okay, I understand. But, I mean, when it comes to international criminals, this guy is a legitimate international criminal. Okay, the other two people were just Americans in a country that, they captured him up, they grabbed him and said, we need to get that other guy back. Let's figure this out. So they won out on the deal, guys. They really did win out on the deal. And it shows how big sports are in America, right? I mean, we're willing to give back an actual international criminal for two American citizens. Let's put it that way. Two American citizens. One of them has a little more notoriety than the other one. Right? Who won out on the deal, guys? Again, this is the same philosophy when it comes to businesses. Same philosophy. If America was run like a business, Brittany Griner and Paul Whelan would have been the cost of doing business. You don't lose out on a deal like this, guys. We have a Russian arms dealer, okay? They have a gay WNBA player who had a weed pen on her, right? Just her sexuality is a crime there. You can get arrested for fucking apparently anything in Russia. And the other guy, I don't know what he got arrested for. Maybe just being an American. Maybe just used as bait, right? Or gambling, chips, free chips. Here's house money. Here's a cop from America. They'll want him back. You know how much they love the cops there. You know how much they try to champion the cops there, even though the cops don't want the championing. You know how hard they try. And if this goes through, guys, I mean, hey, we get two Americans back on soil, and soon they'll be on podcasts. They'll have shows, right? I spoke about this last time. They'll have shows. There'll be, people will be interviewing them. What was it like in the Russian camp? It was a fucking ball. It was fantastic. What the fuck do you think? Okay, people putting microphones in their face. It's going to be great, guys. They're going to come back. We're going to hear all about it. And it's going to be nice. But just know that we will be giving back an actual international criminal. And I mean, these parameters are terrible, right? The fact that we are, I'll give you these two for yours. And, it's like we're trading cards, right? It's stupidness. But it is the way the shit works. It's the business, guys. It's the business. Sorry, there's no feelings in business. Business has no feelings. That's what it is. Business has no feelings. There's no, it's strictly business. There's no emotions. Too bad. Shouldn't have been in Russia. Shouldn't have been gay in Russia, I guess. Pfft. Sorry. There's plenty of being gay allowed in plenty of other places in the world, especially where the fuck you live. Shouldn't have went. Pfft. Too fucking bad. Call me cruel, guys, but I want to see us succeed. We can't just concede here. We can't just concede and say, here's an international criminal, give us back our... Aren't we supposed to be the good guys? We're supposed to be the upholders of all things that are good while still ruling the world. Russia's trying to be the upholder of all things that are bad while still ruling the world. Maybe that's why they came back, though. Maybe they just know their position. They're like, yeah, let's just, fuck it. They're the evil ones. Let's just give it back to them. It could be. It could just be a long, drawn-out thing where they're like, okay, let's just fucking... I'm tired of hearing about this bullshit in the news. We've drug it out as long as we can. Let's just give him back this guy and we'll be good. Maybe. Maybe something like that. So there was something interesting that I read, that the 13% of Americans are on SSRIs, okay? That's more than 30 million people. I'll tell you that again. 13% of Americans are on antidepressant pills. And there's been a study that's come out recently that is suggesting that it could be the wrong thing. The medication that everyone's been taking could be the wrong medication. There could be medication that could be working better. There could be substances that could be working better. Now, again, shout out Roca News for bringing something like this to light, because this is actually legitimate news. This is something that I'm telling you guys, and I would hope that it sparks the interest in some of you people, because, like I said, 30 million people, there's got to be a couple of yous out there that are listening to me that are on these fucking things. And I know people that are on them, and they have been the decided treatment for people who suffer from depression. Now, again, Roca News did a great job of breaking this down. In 1960, okay, that's 62, what is that? I don't know. 62 years ago, right? I'm a fucking idiot. Right? 62 years ago. The theory of the chemical imbalance theory, okay, is that the serotonin levels drop, and that dropping is, correlated with depression. Depression, the chemical imbalance in your brain. And this is the thing that we have held on to for a very long time. It seems like nobody went ahead and did some actual experimental trials using different things, right? Using substances that have been demonized for decades and decades. Substances that are now becoming decriminalized in certain areas so that they can be used for experimentation on mental health and depression patients. Drugs like MDMA, psilocybin, or chemicals, I should say, like MDMA, psilocybin, LSD, and ketamine are all being used as experimental medicine in trials with people who suffer from different kinds of mental illness. Now, 1960, they decided, hey, this is the thing. okay? You're depressed because your mind isn't building serotonin, right? It's not creating this chemical that is, it stabilizes you in a way that you're not depressed. You're not feeling down. You're not whatever. So this explained a lot of the hereditary cases, right? And it explained, things like, your dad has depression, you have depression. And it gave people a logical reasoning as to why. Okay, my serotonin levels are down. So in the 1980s, SSRIs came about. They were a drug, or they are a drug that is marketed to help those levels, help those serotonin levels. And they would make you feel better, right? They were the happy pill, SSRIs, 1980, baby. Probably plenty of funding for those, okay? Because this is a new pill, brand new pill that is going to help people. It's going to help depressed people. And there's a lot of depressed people, right? There's a lot of depressed people. Their serotonin is all down. People working hard to live, right? Especially in America. People working hard to live. Or they live in abject poverty. They have... their material conditions aren't good. But then again, if you're if you got a real poverty problem, you're probably not getting SSRI prescriptions because you probably don't have any kind of insurance, or you can't afford to go see a psychiatrist to get those prescribed to you. So you'll do hard drugs instead. So anyway, these are for the people who have money but are sad sometimes. Sometimes things get tough and they can't pay for things. And they got to cut back a little bit, and they get sad, and tough things happen, and people die, and you lose jobs, and you lose relationships, and you lose a dog, and you lose a family member, and this and that, and bad things happen. And this is all just a chemical imbalance. None of those things will impact you and your mood. None of them. It's just a chemical imbalance. Here, take this pill. It's an SSRI, 1980. Boom. Plenty of funding. Plenty of funding, because the science added up. Up until then, chemical imbalance theory had held up, and they said, you know what? Let's figure out. Let's balance it out. Let's balance it out. All we need to do is make a pill, and we'll balance it the fuck out, and we'll figure it out. I don't know what depression levels were in the 60s. They probably didn't even have a name for it, especially in 1960, the early 60s, right? And they said, you know what? We figured it out after years of funding and government subsidies and all these things that help us figure out how we can get you guys hooked on something new. Something new, because this is a feeling that everybody feels at some point. So we can figure out a way to squeeze our little, our grubby little fingers in there, rear our ugly little heads, and get you guys hooked on something. And that's when in the 1990s, now the funding went to the marketing of these designer SSRIs like Prozac and Zoloft and these types of things. And there were plenty of marketing campaigns. You see them on the TV. Are you feeling sad? Is it tough to get out of bed in the morning? Well, take 3 or 4 of these little blue fuckers and you'll feel good to go. And now lots of money's getting pumped into that. And now they're at a point where over 30 million people are eating these things just to survive, just to live, just to get themselves out of bed, get themselves out to go do their task 40 hours of that week and go and just fucking do it. And just go ahead and do it. And now, even before this new study has come out, there's a new European study, and I want to pull up the quote, okay, because this is pretty powerful. And again, shout out Roca News for putting this out. There's a brand new European study that is suggesting that this could be SSRIs are having an amplified placebo effect, okay? Now, hold on, read this. 13% of Americans use these guys. Monstrous industry, SSRIs. So here we go. But some doubt the chemical imbalance theory. Last week, a major study across several European universities and hospitals examined data from hundreds of thousands of people. Very important. Hundreds of thousands of people. And then here's an excerpt from this, the conclusion of their study. Our comprehensive review of the major strands of research on serotonin shows there is no convincing evidence that depression is associated with or caused by lower serotonin concentrations or activity. Most studies found no evidence of reduced serotonin activity in people with depression compared to people without, and methods to reduce serotonin availability using tryptophan depletion do not consistently lower mood in volunteers. Wow, so they even tried to lower their serotonin, and it didn't do anything. It didn't do anything to them. Let me make sure I understand that. Methods to reduce serotonin availability using tryptophan do not consistently lower mood. It didn't lower the mood. After using tryptophan, which is something we enjoy when we eat turkey on Thanksgiving, there's a lot of tryptophan in turkey. It makes you tired, but it doesn't make you depressed, right? It doesn't really upset your mood. You're pretty happy after you've eaten that bird on Thanksgiving. You go and eat more after you wake up, And it's just great that it's been years and years, 30 years of heavy marketing campaigns to get people hooked on these things, get people to buy their shit, to buy their drugs, to buy the drugs that they spent a lot of money on, to figure out, to know that all they will do is just completely devoid you of emotion in general. It's not going to help your serotonin. And you mean to tell me they didn't know that? No. The other options were swiped out pretty much, right? I mean, the other options were just, you're not going to, in the 90s, you're not going to say, hey, let's try eating mushrooms, right? Let's try delivering a very micro dose of MDMA to someone with PTSD. Let's see what happens, right? Nobody is going to allow that, not on a large government subsidized level, right? Now, here's some other stuff taken from the same whatever. It found that depression is most closely correlated with stressful life events, and that SSRIs may be no more effective than placebos. Levels of SERT would produce higher levels of synaptic serotonin. However, more recently, this hypothesis has been superseded by a focus on the interaction effect between this polymorphism, depression, and stress, with the idea that the short version of the polymorphism may only give rise to depression in the presence of stressful life events. Unlike other areas of serotonin research, numerous systematic and meta-analysis of genetic studies have been conducted, and most recently so it just cuts off. It is often assumed that the effects of antidepressants demonstrate that depression must be at least partially caused by brain-based chemical abnormality, and that the apparent efficacy of SSRIs show that serotonin is implicated. Other explanations for the effects of antidepressants have been put forward, however, including the idea that they work via an amplified placebo effect or through the ability to restrict or blunt emotions in general. So just get rid of all your emotions in general. Eat these, feel nothing, do your task, go home, go to bed, wake up. Eat these, go, do your task, come home, go to bed. Wake up, eat the... Right? Is this not just... people say, conspiracy theories and whatever, big plans, but is it impossible? Is it impossible that maybe, just maybe, they knew that these pills would make sure that you could be devoid of any feeling and increase productivity? Isn't that true sustainability in the name of capitalism? Is it not? Keeping the cogs in the machine clueless, not questioning anything, not doing any sort of soul searching, not understanding that stressful life events are the things that cause depression. Maybe it isn't a chemical imbalance. Maybe it's the way that you're just dealing with whatever stress that you have. And in a country where stress runs rampant, keeping up with the Joneses is stressful over here. Just to exist, just to keep up, right? Just to get by Forget getting ahead, just to get by. Everyone wants to get ahead. There's an extra step if you want to get ahead, right? Maybe it's one of these pills. Maybe you'll get ahead if you take one of these pills. Man, I mean, I'm doing okay. I'm doing all right in life, but there's just this feeling that I can't overcome. And maybe if I take these, I'll get to that next step in my life. I'll get that better. I'll get that job. I'll get that raise, It'll be a little bit better, and things will be all right. And who knows? Maybe one day, I'll be the CEO of BlackRock. Let me take these SSRIs. And now I'm very thankful that I'm living in a time where, and this is actually a serious thing, that they're removing the stigma behind alternate kinds of medication, alternate chemicals that can help depression. And, nobody knows where it comes from realistically, but a theory that has supposedly been held up for decades and decades is finally being questioned. I love when I hear about something that is finally being questioned after years and years and years and years and years of people accepting it. Finally, someone is coming out and saying, wait a second, let's look at it a different way. And this is seems to be a legitimate study. Hundreds of thousands of test subjects. That's a lot of data, guys. You want that in a study across different, communities. You want that. So, I mean, I'm just happy that people have been taking these pills, and the people that have been giving it to them have been duped into thinking that it is the right thing. That's productivity. Okay, that's sustainability in the name of capitalism. That is what this guy, Mr. BlackRock CEO, is talking about. Okay, it's all in the name of keeping the game flowing. It is. And if you got people that are thinking about life and thinking about better situation for themselves and thinking about maybe their very existence is stressful, maybe the fact that they're woken up out of a sleep by they're abruptly woken up out of their sleep early in the wee hours of the morning, and they are forced to get themselves ready to go to their job, to their task that they dedicate at least 40 hours a week to, and they do that, and it's not necessarily something that they enjoy doing. They never enjoyed doing it, but they have to do it because it comes with certain freedoms. You get to live on your own. You get to whatever. You can go out to eat, right? And you got money. You got to do money. And this monotonous process of working doing the same thing for 40 hours a week and then looking forward to 2 days of having time off and doing whatever you want to do and working on personal projects. You have your nights too, but when you're doing that soul-crushing work, you don't want to do anything at night either. So maybe if you didn't take the thing that completely devoids you of feeling or of thinking, maybe you would think, hey, maybe this life is just a stressful situation that I could deal with, barring any type of medicine, even the mushroom, even the psychedelic, barring any of that, right? Maybe you just come to terms with the fact that the way that you're living is stressful. But that's not conducive to capitalism. That's not conducive to our sustainability. We want to have fun. This is a playground, guys, and we're trying to have a good goddamn time. This is a playground. But anyway, motherfuckers, I'm done. I think last episode I said I was going to have a guest. The guest, again, fell through, guys. I am not budging on this. I'm not doing the Zoom. I'm not doing the Zoom guests. I don't want to do it. I'll do the in-person guests. If they fall through, they fall through. I'm not going to go crazy trying to find someone else. That's what the fuck it is, guys. That's what the fuck it is. And if you don't like it, get the fuck out. Eddie Murphy quote. If you don't know it, then go fuck yourself. That's the end of today's show, motherfuckers. Don't forget to check me out August 6th, Broadway Comedy Club, early show. We're going to have a blast. Hopefully it happens. And then the end of the month, again, fucking Portland, Maine Comedy Festival. Maybe 3 shows. I'll be there for 3 nights. It's going to be a lot of fun. Going to be a blast. All right, motherfuckers, I'm done. Talk to y'all on Monday. Peace. I'm back to reiterate all the stuff that I said at the top of the show. Follow and subscribe. Bye-bye.